Have it. The question now is that vote tourism stand part of the schedules.
Chair.
I call the honourable member Reno Terakatan. Tēnā
koe, Mr Chair. I'm pleased to make a contribution in this appropriations debate. Mr Chair, can I draw the House's attention to the low-budget movie set known as the Tourism Portfolio? It's a Best Supporting Actress in the John Key Show. Now, Mr Speaker, the tourism industry deserves much, much more. The Prime Minister, just like Prime Ministers of the past, have been entitled to pick their portfolios as a matter of priority. Robert Muldoon had finance. David Longy took foreign affairs. Helen Clark made a name for herself in the arts. For better or for worse, these areas became their legacies. But Mr Chair, John Key gave himself the tourism portfolio as a matter of priority, and yet 4 years on, he's let it languish. It's a flop. Talk about taking his job too seriously. In colloquial te reo, Mr Speaker, we say that John's taken a tiki tour on the job. He's taken a tiki tour. And I'm reminded, Mr Speaker, of that memorable New Zealand ad, which I'm sure members of this House will remember, of a generation ago, where Kiwis were reminded to don't leave town until you've seen the country. And on that ad, there was a Kiwi bloke. That's right. A Kiwi bloke paddling down the river, and he's asked by a local if he knows where the Victoria Falls is. And our intrepid Kiwi kayaker replies, somewhere near Taupo, or in those days he said Taupo. But Mr Key's efforts to date remind me of that punchline, because the Prime Minister is taking tourism over the Hooker Falls, Mr Chair. In colloquial te reo, we say he's gone tippy high there. And so, it's true, because if we look at the tourism portfolio, Mr Chair, the tourism industry, $63 million a day it contributes to New Zealand's economy. It employs, directly and indirectly, 180,000 Kiwis. It's our second biggest export earner. It provides jobs, money and vibrancy to our communities. But, Mr Chair, they're not getting the leadership that they deserve under this minister. And if we look at what's in this appropriation, there are no significant changes to the tourism funding. Only $97.5 million is on international marketing, and a fraction on policy advice and research, Mr Chair. But I think in terms of the reaction from the industry itself, we just have to look at the state of the mood of the industry in terms of their tourism sector report, which was just reported recently. And then we just look at the wording from tourism operators themselves right across the country, and they're saying the sector's lost, we've lost our edge. We're in holding on mode. We're economically flat. Tourism has fallen off the radar with this government. New Zealand's no longer a desirable destination that it was amongst our key visitor export markets. We're stuck in a rut, and the industry needs to change. And now the industry is calling for change, and they've called Martin Snedden. He did a fantastic job leading the Rugby World Cup last year. In addition to his heroics when he was on the cricket pitch in the 80s. But sir, Martin Snedden cannot alone help pull the industry out of the doldrums. There needs to be leadership from the Prime Minister on this portfolio. We need some more hard graft being put into the tourism portfolio. We're not getting that hard graft. And the tourism sector is suffering as a result, as the comments have been made by operators right across, up and down the length of the country. And the tourism sector is made up of small businesses, large and small, right the length and breadth of the country. And they are hurting, and we're not seeing the leadership, and we're definitely not seeing the resources and funding being put into to really stimulate the sector. So tourism is not where it needs to be. Unfortunately, this government doesn't have a plan, and it hasn't got the right amount of resources that it's putting into such an important sector. Our number 2 export earner, $63 million a day, as I mentioned, 180,000 jobs. It's a very vitally important sector for our country, and we need to have more leadership that's taking place. And So we want to see that tourism is no longer the supporting actor of this government. We want to make sure that tourism is actually at the forefront, and we're seeing growth, because the comments that are coming out of the sector aren't encouraging. And we only need to turn to Rob Fife, the outgoing Chief Executive for Air New Zealand. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair.
I call the Honourable Minister Chris